What's going on, y'all? It's JSmo Reviews here, back at it again with another video, man. Bringing you guys a quick recap, but mainly my review for Verb versus JC. Went down last night as Black Mafia Battle League's main event for the spring cleaning card in Michigan. Grudge match finally goes down, and anyone that saw my predictions on this spring cleaning card knows that Verb and JC is the card. The undercard was basically nothingness, and then actually watching the event, not only did it play out like that, we missed a couple of battles. I tuned in a little bit late, so I didn't catch Capo versus Mac Myron, which was on the day one card that I didn't know existed, and that ended up running late, so they moved it over to open spring cleaning. So I'm gonna have to go back and watch that. I heard Chess choked and lost to Selly Cell, the local town he was up against. I'm probably not gonna go watch that battle. I'm just gonna be honest with you. So that, whatever, Chess doing Chess stuff in a battle that was just kind of card filler. Then Twerk versus Hostile Black didn't end up going down. And Fonz versus Big T didn't end up going down with no explanation on Fonz. I think they explained, like, maybe Twerk had a kid is what I heard Cal said. If so, congratulations. But for whatever reason, he couldn't make it. I heard Cal do an announcement. I heard nothing for Fonz and Big T. So Big T hadn't even posted the flyer. Whatever, you know what I'm saying? Otherwise, Bailey Lee lost to Coffee 3-0. Coffee just leveled up. She's a better talent. There's no shocker there. And Clips actually brought a fairly serious, not good, not great, but a decent, serviceable version of himself for O Solo. So all the battles we can't get Clips to do anything for, but he actually applies himself a bit for an O Solo matchup. Debatably going to heaven. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? That's something that puts your eligibility in question, in my personal opinion. But was a good first round, especially. Clips 3-0 Solo. What a shocker there. So overall, really not a lot to take away from this card. This card was nothingness leading into the main event, but the main event was pretty good. So with all that being said, let's get into Verb versus JC. So first round of the battle starts on JC, and he opens up with this. It's not really a wordplay based line, but he had 2 or 3 lines in this battle that I thought set a surgical tone, even if he didn't always follow through, which we'll talk about. But he leads the battle off with, the respect you have is nothing compared to the respect you've lost. I just like that to open up the battle from JC, even though the rest of his first round doesn't really go that angle-based route. It's more of a bar-for-bar round. From there, he is the Goldilocks, will eat till the table's bare. I thought that was cool. I don't want to hear no, I am a rooster tonight, when he's going to have a wake first. The rooster wakes you up first, like a funeral wake. I thought that was fire. One of my favorite pieces of wordplay in this battle. We're going to break down every attribute you have till they attributes with your name on it. I thought that was clever. The mechanical pencil bar was cool. Passed away from a shot like Ben Simmons. They think you talk too suspect like Vlad TV. So it's just basic jabs for the most part in this first. Guitar Hero, I'm going to push this rainbow's buttons. I thought that was clever. He had an Anne Frank living addict bar that I thought was cool. And then he ends off with a LeVar Ball go out on a limb bar. So really compact and okay first from JC. A little bit of wordplay I liked there in the beginning, but I thought it was a beatable first, to be honest. And then Verb goes in the first, and he shows how beatable of a first it is. Your flow is Ferragamo, but your aura say Aeropostale. So we know that Verb's going to get into the pockets off rip. All the pens in this lane, I bowling balled them, which some people didn't like that line, but the momentum he had going into that, kind of discussing what he does to the other pen-based battlers and history even backing that up for the most part. I actually really like that start from Verb. They always saying something about sassy ass Verb. Well, don't forget to tell him that he'll smoke your ass. I thought that was funny, if nothing else. I had to lose what I love to chase what I'm supposed to have. We talk about life applicable stuff. I thought that's a perfect example, even if it's not the most tailored. I thought that was fire, and it goes to show Verb was off to like a great rhythm here in the first. Even my backhanded compliments hit like open hands. I thought that was fire too. They say I'm the one don't meddle with because it's metal on that man like a cyborg. The little Vice Lord wordplay he had after I thought was clever. The greater than, less than, I take pictures like this to show kind of the whole mathematics, not equal to, greater than, less than. I thought Verb was in his bag writing wise in this first. Ain't nobody that's putting belt to arm gonna put belt to ass. I thought that was hard. I have someone around you, you not protected. I thought Verb was cooking in this first round, and it kind of played into something I talked a little bit about in the predictions, although I had JC clear going into this battle, but I think with Verb style, especially when JC gets into that slower pace delivery, bar here, jab here, and then Verb is matching the writing, but his rhyming ability is not just like more fluid, but it's more entertaining. It's easier to listen to. It builds the tension in the style a little bit more. So I did not just like Verb's first round. I kind of loved Verb's first round. And for me, he was up like a very clear 1-0 to start the battle. From there, you get into the second round of the battle, and I do think that JC took a step up here in the second round. He opens up with the Oprah deal bar that I thought was dope. That even if you were the president's wife, you wouldn't have a FLOTUS FLOTUS, First Lady of the United States. I thought that was clever. The Avalanche have a halo over A. I thought that was dope. And then we get into some of JC's better material in the whole battle. Spin the block like a Rubik's Cube and put a rainbow in its place. That is probably the best bar that JC, I think, had the entire battle. He had a couple rainbow flips. I thought that one was crazy. A haymaker. The Isaiah Stewart bar, definitely going to hit in Michigan. I thought that was cool. No matter how fast you run, we're putting more pressure on Duncan than Mac McClung. Mac McClung in the dunk contest. Obviously, Chaz Duncan being A-Verb's real name. I thought that was cool. Scare the country out of him like Donald Trump. Sandra Bland, the appear conscious Sandra Bland, kind of going to A-Verb style as well. I thought that was fire. The sharecropping bar I thought was clever. He had a little bit of a slower end, couple bars at the end that didn't hit for me a lot to end his second, and these guys had more compact rounds. I know that Verb was complaining that JC rapped a little longer than him, which it definitely felt like he did, but it wasn't egregious either. Like, neither of them have like insanely dense rounds where I'm like, okay, this round went on for a bit. But JC's second, definitely a step up from his first. Then you go to Verb in the second. You're not chosen if you had to choose to do this. I guess speaking of, being like a chosen one in battle rap, Verb's gonna get philosophical. The middleman, like I'm the middleman, like drop shipping. I thought that was cool. Life's a movie. I just cop pistols when the plot thickens. I thought that was fire. But he's cop pistols when the plot thickens, and Rum, you next to Busta, like Rod Digga. So another shot at Rum Nitty. So I do suppose that after years of asking for Verb versus JC, Verb versus Av, Verb versus Rum, this actually feels like the year we're probably going to get all those battles done. But I thought that was a cool little pocket for the Rum shot. JC getting drug natural like shrooms. I thought that was cool. I don't wrap around no one. I don't cocoon. I thought that was all right. And then Verb gets into his show. So it's showtime. A stigmata with iguanas. He's never going to go a battle without rapping some exotic shit that makes no sense. Verb, what the fuck does it mean to stigmata with the iguanas? This isn't a real human being, man. And then he says, y'all be in the spaces with fat bitches talking about snitching. Which is hilarious, but Verb was definitely the trendsetter of being in spaces with fat bitches, man. Verb has always had a small militia that supported him in the spaces. So that's a little hypocritical coming from A-Verb on that one. He went from stigmata with iguanas to ragging on fat bitches. So full A-Verb experience here in the second round. And I actually think this round, when I watched it, I had JC clear the first time around. I still have JC winning the second. I do think that Verb fought it was almost like a little bit closer than I watched the first time, but there's not enough like stigmata with iguanas. There's not enough serious material in here for me to say that it beat JC's second. So I still have JC winning the second round of the battle, and I had it 1-1 going into the third. And the third and final round, deciding round in my opinion, starts back on JC, and he starts his third similar to how he started his first with the whole the respect you have is nothing compared to the respect you lost. He had a very similar, like, substance, life-applicable bar to start his third. Stop doing shit as a battler that you can't explain as a man. I thought that was really dope, and I thought it set the tone for now. This is going to be the angle-heavy character breakdown round that I might have expected in the first from JC, and that's exactly what it is. It's a tailored third round, but I gotta admit, I'm not a fan of really the execution of the angles he chose here. So he has the, right after that opener, which I did, probably my favorite bar, JC's third. He is the menstrual, you avoid being spotted. I thought that was decent. Then he gets into the Bonnie angle. The Bonnie waving the dildo in Verb's face during their battle on RBE, which was extremely out of pocket. And JC takes a lot of these first few angles to kind of just get at JC, to get at Verb for being zesty, for doing gay shit, right? So he has the Bonnie wave the strap at him, gay Verb just looked down and smiled, and then you get a bar where it was something about like, it's something about he's a dick sucker and something about mouthpiece. And he's like, you're Corinne Stephen Curry. So Corinne Stephen, Superhead, and then Stephen Curry's always got the mouthpiece hanging out. I thought that was cool. Took a long time to build up to what was really like a comedy bar. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. It's a decent bar, but I thought he could have done more. Gets into the Hitman angle, the beef with Hitman and Verb, which I feel like there's so much material to attack at him after out of that, and talks about Verb, you know, kind of acting like police, trying to get to Nick Cannon and get Hitman fired. And he says, you really showed your Karen side. So not caring like Karen, like an older white lady. Once again, like the Corinne Stephen Curry bar, not bad, but cool. I didn't think he was doing anything like crazy surgical or effective out of the angle, right? You rep your flag and yours is definitely pride. So once again, getting at him for that. Went to the dentist and got the buddy healed, which I actually think is funny as fuck because Verb's veneers are like a night and day difference. You can't not notice them. Then one more angle for JC in the third goes back to the video of Verb getting chased in the parking lot. This is an old classic right here. Verb getting chased and saying he had a cast on, and him saying like you're like, bro, we saw the video, like you can't lie to us, ain't no goddamn cast on. And then goes from that day you became a gynecologist and we could see the real pussy, and he follows that up with very aggressive ad libs like pussy kind of reminds you of like T-Top calling someone bitch in a battle. I thought that was probably the best execution of any of the angles, but even then, not the craziest gynecologist pussy. Like, I've heard the punch before. I thought it was okay. And then says, I think it was like his teacher asked him, you know, where he's from on a map. And he put a dot on Iran. So, like, Iran as an Iran from those people. I thought it was cool, and I thought for, you know, with Verb, there's so many people that are going to angle. He's done so much that is angleable that every battle you're going to hear different breakdowns, and I just didn't think JC did anything to make these stand out. It's a lot of angles we've heard before, which is cool, especially with the way Verb's acted the last couple of years. I just didn't think the execution was too crazy, and then to end his third, he goes back to more of just a straight bar-for-bar approach real quick, and I liked it so much better. Either take a L out the magazine or make a ransom note, like you take the letters, like an L out of a magazine. I thought that was fire. And then talk about he's going to be in a grave, and it says, here lies, that's the last space he'll ever hold. I thought that was crazy too. So kind of reminds me a bit of the Surf battle in the sense that when JC went so angle heavy versus Surf, those segments of the battle, people were a bit lost or was a bit underwhelming. Where when he sticks by his guns and he's just a bar-for-bar kind of punch with them battler, I thought that's where he had his most success in this battle. So I did not like JC's third, I got to tell you. And then Verb goes in the third, pretty short round as well. He ends his, I can't say early, he had like 130 2-minute rounds the whole battle, like super strict to the time limit, but he starts out just joking. When I hear you had kids, I was alarmed. Like, what bitch would see this and say, let's make more, which I thought was funny as hell to open up the battle. And then if JC's going to get in some older angles like the parking lot chase, of course, Verb's going to get into the dancing angle. You got your moves from Shakira and J-Lo. You got on your knees for Chris Stokes. So a lot of the same there. Just kind of belittling him and joking on him a lot in the first half of this third. Had the crowd on his side. I don't care if it's Johnny or Drag. JC, it's flame on with you. So like Johnny Storm, Drag Queens, Flames. I thought that was a clever little piece of wordplay. I got Mike and Freddy portraits. I done faced all killers. So like Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger. I thought that was decent. And then maybe the biggest haymaker of the battle from either of them, but especially in this third, a girl will fall in love with you for what car you drive, but a bad bitch never wants no Pontiac. JC being from Pontiac, he really landed it and timed it perfectly. So like a big haymaker at the end of Verb's third, and then he has a little line like, about how he sees himself in JC if he had been nothing. He said, "You think you me, you better wipe that mirror. Me looking at you is like if it was me with the pen, but none of the success to go with it." So like a little bit of a breakdown, but then kind of just cuts his round a little bit more abrupt. So it's a shorter third from Verb, but I thought he was efficient with the time he had. And I think it's definitely a beatable third, but I thought the same about JC's round. At the end of the day, I thought even with a shorter round, Verb attacked a little bit more, flowed a little bit more, just like fluid, had more momentum, where I thought JC had that slower angle approach third, and I just found myself not liking any of the endings of the angles that he chose. I didn't feel like it led up to anything too powerful. And for me, just like I had it live, I still give Verb the third round of the battle, and maybe in upset fashion. I did say out of all those matchups that were out there, if there's one Verb could win against these writers he had left, it was JC. And even though I bet against him, it turns out it went that way for me. So all in all, I had Verb beating JC in Michigan 2-1. And that is my full thoughts and final call on Verb versus JC, where I did have Verb 2-1 first and third, JC getting that second round. A little bit of a shocker here, especially going into the battle. Not only was JC's form in the ring better, but I always said my issue with this particular matchup would be him versus one of those star power legend types where they can kind of take the room from him sometimes, and the writing just isn't enough. But with his W versus Hollow last year, I thought this was something JC had kind of moved past, and that was like a very good step in the right direction. I see a lot of similarities in Hollow and Verb being a bit past their prime, the types of dry spots they have in battles, and then it was in Michigan. So I thought situationally, this was as good of a situation JC would have for this matchup as possible, and I had Verb coming in here on the road and getting a W pretty clearly, in my opinion, may I add. And once again, even though it didn't play out exactly like JC and Surf, there is that factor of a little bit of that slower pace, extremely confident throughout, but with that like super slowed down pace, and the angling just didn't land for me, which sucks because with bar for bar battlers, you typically want them to be more tailored, right? Show that more full skill set when it comes to some of their bigger battles. But it's another battle where I felt like if JC just stuck with what's his strength and not so much into trying to, kind of break down Verb, he might have just won this battle, because it is a good Verb, but even then, still a beatable Verb. I thought his first was fire. I think his second and third still have stuff, but it's a clear kind of step down from that first round. But it's as much for me as JC losing the battle as it is Verb winning the battle. I thought it was a bit of a combo for both, but I have to give credit to Verb, who started out with the Chilla battle, which I thought was decent. It was okay. I did have Chilla Jones winning the battle, but I thought Verb was serviceable. And this is a step up from that, and this is the best win, in my opinion, Verb's had in quite some time. I know him and Ward is considered to be like a great battle, and it is a great battle for him. I did have Verb losing that battle, but it's debatable and high quality. I haven't had Verb getting a win like this since I think like the past battle on GTX, or maybe even Head Ice. I think it's far and few between that Verb gets like a definitive W, but I walked away from this battle feeling like he did. So you have JC on one hand, who, I'm not sure when we're talking about like the lead up, what a win can do for someone. I know it feels like for some people, JC's career is based around when are we going to get JC in Lux, or if he can earn his way back to that. He had a slight passage with like the Hollow and Verb battles left, had him beating Hollow, had him losing here to Verb. Not sure if he won it would have made a difference, but in my opinion, definitely a tough L for JC. I see some people trying to argue him the second and third. I just don't see it the same. I see this as a W for Verb. I just think it's a bit of a disappointing outing for JC, especially with the good year he just came off of, and coming off of the fact that I had him losing to Mad Flex on Apollo. So for me, have a couple L's for him to start the year. And as for Verb, like I said, good W for him, and he's got the plates lining back up. He's done his thing. I always say it. Goes away, I'm done with battle rap. Has to come back to battle rap within a year, because that's what he's got. And then he ends up asking for matchups again. But he's going to have good momentum off of this JCW. And then I still don't know if him and Av is booked for sure, what's going on there, but that's a battle that gives him a little more positive momentum going into. And then he calls out Rum Nitty. I think Rum Nitty would dog Verb. This W does not make me feel different about that, but he seems to really want the smoke. Nitty wants to battle him, so I guess with a W like this, you see a better chance of maybe Verb and Nitty later this year. Obviously, Verb and Avs already talked about, and maybe, depending on who he calls out next, a Verb and Sick for the rhyming pockets. I don't know. It's a little bit of positive progression for a guy that's looked horrific in and out of the ring for the last year or two, but I got to give credit where credit's due. I do not like a lot of what Verb does in or out of the ring, but he was good in this battle, and in my opinion, gets the W here on the road. But with all that being said, want to hear your guys' opinion in the comments down below. If you saw JC and Verb, how did you call it? And what do you think this does for JC or Verb right now? Are you disappointed in JC? Do you disagree with my take on the battle and you actually think this is a good showing for him? And as for Verb, do you want to see the Nitty battle? Does this change how you would call Verb versus Av, Verb versus Nitty, any of those possible matchups? Please let me know in the comment section down below, man. But it's been J Smo Reviews again here, y'all. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'm going to catch you on the next one, man. Peace.